A bomb of a trade just went down with Elias Lindholm being sent to the Vancouver Canucks for an absolute haul, a first, a fourth, a good prospect, and Andrei Kuzmenko. And if you are an NHL GM and you need a center for your contending team, you are now going to be in an all-out bidding war for some of the last good centers available like Adam Henrique and Sean Monahan. The implications of this Elias Lindholm trade go far beyond the Canucks and Flames, and I'm here to break down the trade and all the implications that follow, especially for the Montreal Canadiens, on this episode of Habs Digest. So without further ado, we got to jump straight into this as the Vancouver Canucks officially announced that general manager Patrick Allvin announced that the Canucks have acquired Elias Lindholm in exchange for Andrei Kuzmenko, Hunter Brustovitz, I believe, I could be pronouncing that wrong, I apologize if I am, Yoni Yormo, a first-round pick, and a conditional fourth-round pick in the 2024 NHL entry draft. And this is the full trade. We didn't really know the details until just now, and that is an absolute haul for a guy who is a UFA just after the season. Now, as of the recording of this video, he has not announced an extension yet with the Vancouver Canucks, though apparently he's in the air on his way to Toronto as of the recording of this video, but the extension may be announced now regardless. Regardless, that is a lot to pay, and the consensus opinion is the Calgary Flames really fleeced the Canucks. You know, the Canucks, like, if they get an extension, and, you know, you can afford that, especially if he helps you go to the Stanley Cup Finals, win a Stanley Cup, whatever. But objectively, that is a ton of value for a guy like Elias Lindholm. And we're going to flash up, not Kuzmenko, we're going to flash up Lindholm's stats. And of course, 32 points in 49 games this year, a solid 64 and 80 the year before. But of course, he's a former 40 goal scorer, but he hasn't quite been able to get exactly back to that yet. And even with this Flames team that was kind of designed to maybe maximize some of the production of their players, they have not hit on that. You know, Huberdeau has had a bit of a down year. Kadri's still okay, but Lindholm, again, a bit of a down year himself. But for that kind of value, for what he is providing, that's a lot in return, like I said. And if we take a look at Kuzmenko, just last year, he had 39 goals, 74 points. And he had 21 and 43 this year, though the consensus among Canucks fans is that really things are not working out as well as they wanted for him. So all in all, this sets the market, whether you like it or not. You see Elias Lindholm, he is a top center on the market. The Vancouver Canucks had to pay a ton for his services. Of course, his contract is under $5 million for this year, and he is a UFA at the end of this season. Or UFA or RFA, I believe it's UFA. So still, he's a free agent one way or another. So when you're looking at this trade, like, not only is it Andrei Kuzmenko, you also have to take a look at Hunter Brustovitz. I could be pronouncing that wrong. He is a defenseman. He is a right-handed shot defenseman who has 69 points in 47 OHL games this year, 57 and 68 last year. Yes, he was a third-round pick, but he has won a straight-up one of the top scoring defenseman prospects to come into the NHL now in the next few years. So it's not like he's a lower tier prospect. He has his downsides, that's for sure. I'm not going to claim I know a ton about Hunter himself, but at the same time, again, you add him plus a first round pick on top of Kuzmenko. So that's the trade. I think the Flames got a great end of this deal. But now the market is set. Now you have to look to these other teams who are going out and probably trying to get a center on the market. And a lot of people are focusing in on the Montreal Canadiens and Sean Monahan. And if we just take a little look here, Sean Monahan has 35 points in 49 games this year. Yes, he's had a bit of an injury-riddled past the last 3 seasons, but this year is his best season since 2018-19 when he was a point-per-game player. And even back then, these high 20s, 30-goal seasons, he's on pace again this year for a 20, 22, 23 goal season. But let's just compare his stats to Lindholm real quick. Remember, 35 points in 49 games with 13 goals. We head back, 32 points in 49 games with 9 goals for Elias Lindholm. And yeah, that's right. I know Sean Monahan feels a lot older, but take a look at the age. Born December 2nd, 1994, 29 years old. Sean Monahan, also 29 years old. Sean Monahan also is one of the best in the NHL on the faceoff dot. He's one of the most reliable players right now. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, not to mention his contract is less than Lindholm. Sean Monahan, a reminder to you guys, is making under $2 million per season. He is a UFA at the end of this season, so he probably will be testing free agency, as this is probably his last chance to go out and get a really big contract, right? He's had an injury-riddled past, but he has really had a great bounce-back year from Montreal. He was playing well last year before his injury, and this year he's managed to stay healthy, managed to outproduce Elias Lindholm, outproduce even the likes of Johnny Gaudreau, his former teammates. So to see that Elias Lindholm went for this much, again, less of an injury history, a guy who's been a very, very consistent player, of course he's going to demand maybe a bit more than Monahan, but the questions marks of will Monahan fetch a first, I think those are out the window. You can also look at this as saying maybe the Canucks made an overpay for Elias Lindholm, and you can take that opinion for sure and say, well, there's no way Monahan will fetch that much. That's a one-off. But I don't think so. Because not only is it just like, okay, well, here's the value that Lindholm set. Again, that takes a center off the market. And right now, maybe the top guys that are like knowingly available, Sean Monahan, Adam Henrique. Monahan, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion, is the single best center left on the market. But he's also not exclusively a center. Yes, he's one of the top face-off guys in the NHL, but he's also able to slot it on the wing. We saw that a lot with him playing with Kirby, Dach, or with other line mates, where he's able to kind of shift his game to the wing or to the center, whatever he needs to do, and different spots on the power play. He can be out there in pretty much every situation, and there's a reason the Montreal Canadiens always put him out there for these clutch faceoffs. Defensive zone faceoff, you win it, maybe he'll go straight to the bench. In overtime, the opening faceoff, who is it? It's almost always Sean Monahan, even though they have other guys who are over 50%, like Nick Suzuki, like Jake Evans. It's always Monahan because he is that most reliable guy. So with all that said, like, if you're Kent Hughes and you're the Montreal Canadiens, you are taking a look, as Arber Basu tweeted there, Kent Hughes upon seeing the price, yeah, that is for sure. You're Kent Hughes and you're laughing right now. Kent Hughes is probably smiling ear to ear seeing what Elias Lindholm went out and fetched from the Vancouver Canucks. So, who are the suitors for Sean Monahan? Well, when it comes down to it, we've talked on this show so many times, it feels like we're getting tired of it, but now it's like, it's really getting down to it. There's going to be a bidding war, and it's going to be the contending teams. The Winnipeg Jets that were once at the top of the NHL have fallen a little bit to third in the Central Division as of the recording of this video, but they're probably looking to add someone down the middle or at least into their top six, and Sean Monahan fits the bill perfectly. We've heard talks of the Colorado Avalanche trying to swoop in and grab up Sean Monahan. We've heard links to the Leafs, even the Boston Bruins for someone like a Matthew Poitras. Probably not. The Bruins aren't going to do that, and I really doubt the Montreal Canadiens will trade with the Bruins. You never know, but there's so many teams that could use Sean Monahan's services. Of course, we talked about the Canucks before and how that could have been a good fit. At this point now, I don't believe that that's going to be the case because they're going to ask for a lot for Monahan, especially considering what they paid for Lindholm. I think that's done. I think they found their guy there. But there are going to be a lot of contending teams. And the thing is now, I think it's going to really, really accelerate this process because, again, with Lindholm off the market, and you're a contending team and you need a center, and there's more than one of those. Again, like all these teams I just mentioned, it's not even just a center. Just you want a top six, you want a middle six forward. Or you have the Penguins, maybe. There's reports that they might not be buyers, but there are going to be buying teams who want to contend, and they're going to want Sean Monahan, a great face-off guy, great teammate, a great locker room guy, can play the wing, can play center, can be that clutch force for you. There's not much time left. Because you know Kent Hughes is going to be out there shopping him now. You know these teams are calling him saying, well, okay, well, I couldn't get Lindholm. We need someone. We need to go after Sean Monahan. So not only does like this Elias Lindholm trade set the value for centers, it also causes a lot of other teams to maybe get a little bit anxious. Will Montreal get that same kind of return? No, absolutely not. But Sean Monahan's contract being so small allows him to fit into a lot more teams' cap space. Even if the Habs retain $1 million, I don't think they will. I think they'd rather save that 50% retained slot maybe for a Jake Allen trade if that is to come, because his contract's a bit more. It'd make more sense for the Habs or even for them to broker a deal to save 50% on that Monahan deal to fit his contract down to like $1 million for another team's cap space. Maybe not. I think there's enough teams that could fit him under their cap right now, or at least could move a piece back to Montreal that can make it fit. That would make more sense. But at the same time, like it's an exciting time to be a Habs fan. It's an exciting time to be a hockey fan. I love these pre-trade deadline trades. Don't know what it is with the Vancouver Canucks and making these trades right at the trade deadline, just like they did with Bo Horvat last year. But there's a lot of stuff going on. Sean Monahan is almost certainly going to get moved at this point. Will the return be as good as that Canucks trade? No, but a first-round pick and a prospect is absolutely not out of the question for Sean Monahan. So I'm excited, and I bet you guys are excited. Let me know down below, who do you think won this trade between the Canucks and Flames, and how much do you think the Habs can reasonably get for Sean Monahan? Thank you for watching this episode of Habs Digest. If you haven't hit subscribe yet and you like this video, we have daily Habs content here, so hit that button down below. I'd really appreciate it. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. I'll catch you in the next one.